Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to your Board of Education meeting for January of 2018. And wow, board members, what a crowd.
Yes.
We got a lot of recognitions to do tonight, and we're looking forward to it. First item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'd like to call on Mr. Michael Bill Grove if he would lead us in that.
Everybody stand. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Our mission statement tonight will be from Mr. Butch Oliver.
Beaufort County Schools will provide quality educational programs and services to ensure students' academic and vocational success.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Do we have anybody for public comment? No, we do not. All right. All right, moving on down the agenda. You have your agenda in front of you. Will you look it over? And after that, if anybody does not have any changes or deletions, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Got a motion, got a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. All right. Minutes. The approval of the minutes, and you have those in front of you as well for January 9th and also for the meeting last evening that was held over at the Ed Tech Center. Have a motion to accept? All right. Okay. Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. All right. Now coming to item number 4. I think this is what everybody's here for. Public recognition. And I'm going to ask Mr. Terry Williams. He will be assisting Ms. Nicole Howard tonight. Thank you.
Recognizing character winners both for the month of December as well as January. We're going to start with our character nominees for December. And our winners were sponsored by Golden Ticket Theater, and the character trait that was recognized in our schools for the month of December was gratitude. At the elementary level, the nominees were from Bath Elementary, Taylor Markava, from Chakawinity Middle, Taiwan Thomas, from Chakawinity Primary, Jackson Jones, from Eastern Elementary, Rylan Williams, from John Cotton Taylor, Landon Moss, from John Small, Keegan Warren, and from S.W. Snowden, Ahmed Wahid, Kendry Allen Williams, and Muwaf Wahid. And the winner at the elementary level was Muwaf Wahid. If you will come forward.
Man.
This was a film.
Stand right here.
You can stand next to me.
Wow. Muwaf is a 5th grader at S.W. Snowden. His parents are Rashad Wahid and Salah Hassan. If they're present, if they will stand. And he was presented by his teacher, Ms. Shanae Moore, and the counselor, Mr. Wayne Parsons. And they had about 2 pages of stuff. I pared it down a little bit. It says, when I think about all that gratitude means to me, as stated above, one person in my class is the true definition of displaying at all times what gratitude means. This student is Muwaf Wahib. Muwaf is a student who is grateful just for being able to come to school and see his friends, his teachers, and knowing that he's going to learn something every day. He is going to help somebody no matter what the task is, little or great. Muwaf is one of our Arabic students who is one of the only ones in his family that speaks English. Muwaf tries to teach his mother how to speak English on a daily basis. Muwaf sees everything as a gift from God, and he is always thankful. Recently, my students got their report cards, and they had to write a reflection essay on how they felt when they saw their grades and what were they motivated to do as a result. Muwaf stated that his report card was cool, but he was going to try to get all A's because he did not want to disappoint anyone. Muwaf tells me all the time that he is grateful for the people in his life and the voice that is in his head, the voice that always tells him that he can succeed when he feels he cannot. In Muwaf's essay, he stated, once I got my report card, I imagined myself on a job working and thanking Miss Shanae for what she did for me. I will thank her every day I see her. It was so cool having those grades, and I was happy to have them. I said to myself, man, you have done it. You need to thank the people. You need to thank the people who raised you and the people who taught you. You have amazing people in your life, so be grateful. I love all people, and let's keep it that way. Muath shows kindness to all that he meets and gratitude to all that have shaped and molded him into the person he is today. He has an humble attitude at all times, and all his classmates and teachers adore him. He lets go of all the ideas of self-importance and instead acknowledges everything in his life that has made it better. This kid is the definition of gratitude. He is grateful for what is much and for what is least. Just by his actions and his attitude, he helps me to be grateful for everything, no matter what struggles I am experiencing. He teaches me each and every day. We say congratulations to Muath.
I'd like to first of all, congratulations. Such a fine young man. We have a certificate we'd like to present to you, and also a couple of gifts. I'm going to give us something. And I would like for you, if you would, just to come around to the board. They might also have something to say.
Shake their hands.
Give a short dress, man.
Congratulations. Thank you for being who you are and being such a fine dresser. So handsome. He is. He has a little sister.
At the middle school level, the nominees were from Bath Elementary, Ronan Lewis and Kayla McKeel, from Chocowinity Middle, Nashia Jones, from P.S. Jones, Mac Hudson, and from S.W. Snowden, Ken Adams. And the winner at the middle school level is Mac Hudson, if you would come forward. Mac is a sixth grader at P.S. Jones. His parents are Victor and Jennifer Hudson, if they will stand. And it was presented by Dawn Landon, his teacher. And she wrote, Mac Hudson, a sixth grader at P.S. Jones, shows gratitude in many ways. And she wrote an acrostic poem to list just some of the ways. G gives words of encouragement on a daily basis and brings in items to add to the lesson. For example, his father's bifocal work glasses when we were studying about light. R raises his hand always and adds intelligent conversation to our lesson, which I am thankful for. A always says please and thank you. T thanks others for their help, especially when he was on crutches and had others carrying his things. I inquires about others' feelings and shows sympathy to others. T tells you he appreciates what you do. U unites classmates by always being aware of their feelings. D dedicates time to ask me if I need help, like passing out papers, and offers without me having to ask. And E, eager to help without being rewarded, and is thankful for the opportunity. And Mrs. Landon says, thank you, Mac, for always showing gratitude. You're awesome. Congratulations.
Certificate for you as well as some gifts, and I would also like you to go around and read the board and bring out some.
Congratulations.
Good job. Congratulations.
At the high school level, the nominees were from the Early College High School, Micah Moore, from Northside High School, Reagan Dana, from Washington High School, Taja Nikita Mackey, and from Southside High School, Jeremiah Gorham. And the winner at the high school level was Micah Moore, if he would come forward.
Congratulations.
My cousin is a 10th grader at the Early College High School. His mother is Miss Latoya Warren, if she will stand. And he was presented by the counselor, Miss Ginger Jefferson. And she wrote, it's not every day a student comes up to you and wants to share their gratitude for the things you have done for them. It seems to be even a rare event when they actually put effort into writing a note to you. My cousin did just that. He personally delivered a note to Mrs. Peck to share with the faculty his gratitude for all we had done for him throughout the school year. My cousin also shows his gratitude by being a member of our service club and SGA. During his free time between high school and college classes, he helped fill appreciation bags for the BCCC Campus Police and the Washington City Police, and is currently working on an early college high school scrapbook filled with newspaper articles. We say congratulations.
Certificate, a couple of gifts, and Same routine, you would go around and greet the board, and then we'll have
Girls better step it up now. Tell me, all board members.
I was just thinking about it. Congratulations, you've been doing so well. You keep that attitude.
Great job. All right, girls, we better step it up. These are all board members.
I just said it.
All great winners.
Well, I'll let Lisa decide how she wants us to do it.
Got great silver at Fields.
Those young men make them old men look good.
That's for sure. We are mighty blessed in Beaufort County.
Now for the month of January. In January, our nominees were sponsored by the restaurant on the waterfront. And the character trait that was recognized in our schools during the month of January was self-discipline. At the elementary level, the nominees were from Bath Elementary, Nate Corden; from Chocowinity Middle, Cadence Haltigan; from Chocowinity Primary, Landon Bell; from Eastern Elementary, Janiyah McKenzie; from John Cotton Taylor, Tristan Lewis; from John Small, Zamir Spencer; from Northeast Elementary, Malachi Moore; and from S.W. Snowden, Kaya Little and Cambria Clark. And the winner is from John Small, Zamir Spencer. He will come forward. Zamir is a 5th grader at John Small. His mother is Miss LaQuisha Spencer, if she's here. Okay. And he was presented by Miss Marilyn Crisp, his teacher. And she wrote, Zamir Spencer is our class character ed nominee for the trait of self-control, or self-discipline. Zamir is naturally a very down-to-earth, laid-back student. He is always calm and focused on his work and has the amazing ability to put others around him at ease. Zamir is human, however, and has had the occasion to possibly lose his cool when faced with a challenge. When situations like this arise, Zamir always walks away. He removes himself from the situation rather than letting things escalate. We are so proud of Zamir for being such a peaceful and gentle student. He is a true gentleman. Congratulations.
Congratulations, and there's some people that say, I need to take some lessons from you. Have a certificate and some gift certificates as well. So I hope you enjoy those, and if you would greet the board, we'll have some pictures in just a second.
You down for last?
Good job.
Congratulations.
At the middle school level, from Bath Elementary, the nominees were Gracie Landek; from Chocowinity Middle, Kamaya Edmondson; from Northeast Elementary, DeAndre Artis; from P.S. Jones, William Hudnall; and from S.W. Snowden, Lewis Adams. And the winner is from Chocowinity Middle, Kamaya Edmondson, if she will come forward. And Kamaya is a 7th grader at Chocowinity Middle School. Her mother is Miss Lashada Davis, if she will stand. Did I say it right? Okay, nice, thank you. And she was presented by her teacher, Miss Mandy Stone. And Ms. Stone wrote, I would like to nominate Kamaya Edmondson for the character trait of self-discipline. Self-discipline is being able to put first things first and balance various aspects of your life in order to find success despite past failures. Kamaya is a student that knows how to balance multiple aspects of student life. Academically, she is in the pre-algebra class, which is an accelerated math class and can be demanding. She also performs well on the ELA assessments and is able to maintain good grades in the rest of her classes. She is disciplined enough to stick with the assignments until the end and to give me her absolute best. She also learns from her mistakes and works hard to fix errors. Athletically, Kamaya is a cheerleader for CMS, and our squad is known for excellence in competitions and ball games. She keeps up with this expectation and may have late practices or game nights that result in getting home late. Kamaya will always have her homework, even on a game night. I've never known her to complain about assignments in or out of class. Socially, Kamaya is someone who has a smile that will light up a room. She is definitely a social butterfly. I always see her getting along with her peers. She has a healthy social life, and this is difficult to balance with academics and athletics as a middle school student. Thank you for being so self-disciplined, Kamaya. This character trait will take you far in life. Keep balancing all those parts of your life, and you will be successful. Congratulations.
Congratulations, very proud of you. And we have a certificate and some gift certificates as well. If you would read the board.
Congratulations. I do see that smile. Congratulations. Keep cheering. Yeah.
At the high school level, the nominees were from the Early College High School, Savannah O'Brien, from Northside High School, Jordan Stevens, and from Southside High School, Zachary Beecham. And the winner at the high school level was Zachary Beecham, or Zach, if he will come forward. Zach is a 12th grader at Southside High School. His mother is Miss Karen Beecham, if she will stand. And he was presented by Miss Vicki Hamill, his teacher. So Zachary is participating in our internship program. He is always prepared for upcoming dates, early with submittal of assignments, and thoughtful in his completion of tasks. While working with employers, we often hear of students lacking the soft skills to be successful. Zach's employer praises him for his creative mind and says he does well in time-demanding situations and that he is a hard worker, always on time and eager to learn. Managing school and an internship and doing them both well requires self-discipline. Zach exemplifies this trait and deserves to be recognized for it. This character trait will serve him well throughout life. We say congratulations, Zach.
Read our board, and then just stay. We'll read the pictures.
Good job.
Congratulations, Zach. Congratulations. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Good job.
We have our other two. Come back up.
You did get a girl this time. Cute.
The National Board Certification Program is a way to recognize the accomplished teaching that is occurring in North Carolina's classrooms. The certification process is based on high and rigorous standards that evaluate teaching practice through the performance-based assessments. Generally, this process can take up to a year or longer to complete. Nationally Board Certified Teachers' mission is to advance the quality of teaching and learning in our schools. Tonight, I would like to recognize 4 of our teachers who are receiving their National Board Certification, and we have 3 others who are being recertified. They've had National Board Certification for 10 years. So I'd like to ask for these folks to come up. We'd like to have each one greet the board and get a picture with the whole group. Yolanda Collins, Catherine Alligood, Neil Kleindus, Emily Myers, and then our renewing teachers are Shannon Braxton, Sue Ann Blank, and Jennifer Waller.
Congratulations. You look so good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Our students. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you.
Congrats.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm telling you, congratulations. What are we doing tomorrow? Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congrats, and thanks for your input last time.
It's good. I bet she was
We also want to recognize our teachers who received an award through the Bright Ideas grant. And the Bright Ideas is a great program for educators. It's provided by local electric co-ops, and locally it's provided by Tideland EMC, and we want to thank Tideland for their participation. We have 3 winners, and I'd like for them to come up. I'm just going to call their names and then read a very brief description of the project that they have. Alice Fawcett from Bath Elementary, Tammy Wagaman from Northside High School, and Melissa Nelson and Debbie Arthur from Northeast Elementary. If they'd come up, I just want to read through these for a second, if you would. Alice Fawcett from Bath Elementary, the title is Sorry About the Mess in the Library, We're Learning Here. We received a little bit more than $800, I think is correct. And the description is students in grades K through 8 will collaborate to invent, engineer, build, and create using Legos, circuits, and coding. The school's library will serve as a makerspace hub. Through makerspace activities, all students will improve their dexterity, problem solving, and critical thinking skills, and their ability to follow directions. Next, Tammy Wagaman from Northside High School. The title was How Do We See Ourselves? This grant replaces now obsolete school microscopes and water baths to enhance biology lessons related to the study of plant and animal cells. And Melissa Nelson and Debbie Arthur, again, a little bit more than $800, correct? From Northeast Elementary, their title was Apples Are No Longer Just for Teachers. Second grade students will be introduced to the use of iPad minis in the classroom for both independent and collaborative study in math and language arts. Again, we want to say congratulations, well done, and we'd like for you to greet the board.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you for what you do, Alice. Congratulations. 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 And thank you for what you're doing.
It is. Yeah. I know y'all will.
As Mr. Williams would say, we're going to let you have a minute to excuse yourself. If you need to go, we understand, but if you'd like to stay, we welcome you to stay. But now's your time to make a break if you'd like to.
They're making a break.
Nice job. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations, everyone. What a crowd.
Be hanging in there. Yeah, he tough it.
Got strong.
He lived by my
Now she's trying to take my man away from me.
Oh, Lord. No, she got nothing to worry about. You got nothing to worry about.
She's trying to sit for herself.
Look at her. Watch her. She don't want nothing he got. He trying to make you dance and get you.
No need to sit far from the back. Come on down front.
Oh, I forgot to wave that up.
There's plenty of room.
All of them, that was nice. All them teachers from Snowden came and support that little boy. Wasn't that nice?
Okay, now the
They did.
final 4 here in the audience.
Hold on, Stan, somebody left something down on the floor.
Yeah, now we got 5. Good. Okay.
Check it for money, we'll keep it.
Right. We'll move on down to action items to discuss, and 5.1, request for a walking track at Bath Elementary. Miss Mindy Davis? Okay.
2 years ago, I started a running club at Bath Elementary, and the kids have to stay on campus, and we have nowhere for them to run. So right now, we're running in the bus parking lot. And I would propose, we want to build a walking, running track at the school. We're not looking for any money. We're doing it strictly through grants and donations. We're looking at we want to do concrete because we feel like over the time it would hold up better. And I had someone come quote $50,000. There is a part that holds water when it rains, so we might want to build a bridge, but that doesn't include the cost of that. And there's also some expansion joists. But I feel like our kids could benefit from it, the walk and running track. There's the fourth grade, they got an initiative for the walking classroom. We feel like they could walk on they walk around campus, but they could walk their classrooms. Teachers could take their kids out there and walk. And it goes right along with the Healthy Schools initiative. And then on rec nights, when people are out there on the rec fields, because that's where we want the proposed track to be, parents could walk on the track. The community could use it after hours. So we basically just want approval to go ahead and try to raise money and get donations to build this track. And then also, I became aware that you guys have a policy where we can't name tracks after people. And I would like to ask that you amend that, because we would like to name this track after Lee Swain. We want to name it the Lee Swain Memorial Track. She was a community member in Bath Elementary and the wife of our former principal, Brian Swain, and she used to be a teacher. She grew up in Bath and went to Bath High School. She passed away last April after a long battle with cancer, and she also worked at the Bath Historic Society, and we were wondering if you could consider amending that just so we can name the track after her. So those are our two proposals.
Okay.
Questions?
Okay, you've heard the request from Ms. Davis. Any further discussion?
Has this been run by the rec department?
Yes. And I even took it to Bubs, who's the town manager, and I showed him the map, and he said, I don't see any problem. I'll run it by a couple people, and I haven't heard anything from him since, so I'm assuming that it was okay.
I see Stan shaking yes, so that means he knows I was going to ask him, has he checked it out? Is everything okay, Stan?
We've been working together.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I have no problem with either one. I don't mind having that one-time amendment for naming it after the young lady.
Do you really feel that the concrete would last 5 years down the road versus a good maintained gravel walkway? Like the crushed stone, not the gravel.
We talked about that, and the thing is maintenance. You have weeds and stuff like that. Someone did tell me they're putting in right after the bridge in Bath, they're putting in a new park. And someone mentioned to me the other day, there's a new material that's kind of like concrete but different. But she just told me about it the other day. And the reason we didn't do asphalt or anything like that was because of the maintenance. And it would cost to maintain, like spray weeds and things like that.
Right.
And so we just decided maybe concrete would be better for the long haul. It's not the best surface to run on.
Well, right. I wasn't even looking at it as running. Mm-hmm. But with the fluctuations of cold,
right?
You have joints. You'll have some seams or something.
Yeah.
You will get weeds in those seams.
Yeah.
You can think you won't, but you will. And if anything heavy ever drives over one of the, and you can prevent that,
right.
But things happen, then. I was just throwing it out.
Right. And we talked about different types of materials, and we just all kind of came to the agreement that concrete was probably the best thing. And I don't know if Stan wants to weigh in on any of that, or.
That was the other proposal, 4 inches thick, 4 inches thick, 4,000-pound eggs is what they were suggesting.
You putting any fiber in it?
They didn't elaborate, that's why I was just reading their.
Okay.
His response. proposal, we could always go back and add. That was, if they have a budget number that they worked up by the local contractor.
Right.
That provided it, we could always
Yeah.
change it up and set in stone.
Yeah, we just had him go out there and see how much it would cost if we did concrete.
Right.
Or concrete.
Well, putting the fiber in it will hold up in cold, the fluctuations in
Yeah.
temperature a little better. I think it's a great idea.
I just want to make sure the rec department's on board with it, because you're going into the parking lot, and there's a lot of parking, a lot of driving goes on in that area, and I would be concerned about the concrete being driven over top of as much as it's going to be, because this is the concession stand where it's starting, right? That's the concession stand there?
No, well,
See, this is the outline of the track.
I might have drawn that wrong. It's not,
All the way at the back of the.
it's all the way at the back where there's a tree line, so people wouldn't actually be driving on
We're
it.
talking about right up here.
Well, no, this is concession stand.
Yeah, the concession stand's over here, down at the bottom.
Down here?
Yeah, that's the top of the concession stand in the bottom right corner of y'all's screen.
Towards the back where the,
That's the concession stand.
fence is and the tree line.
That's the tree line, that's the.
I'm looking at the wrong, okay, this isn't the driveway coming in from the post office.
No, it's the driveway coming in this way is from the post office.
There is a road right there by the concession stand, but it's farther back.
Okay.
It goes around to the school building.
Turn your head like this.
This thing must be turned around.
Have you started raising any money, or do you have any kind
That's
of
Family Dollar. What you're saying?
possible promises of
That's right, that's a
money?
building down below.
Okay, that might have been my error, 'cause I was just looking at the map.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'll confer to Butch, but we're both familiar with the bath area.
Okay, that was my fault, 'cause I drew the line.
That's all right. We're just trying to keep it straight, that's all.
Hey, folks, Ms. Walker has got the floor at this time.
I'm
sorry. She asked
Do
a
you
question.
have any promises of money, or do you have an area that you plan, I mean, that's a lot of money to raise, so I don't know, how are we looking at, you hope to have this money raised in a year, 2 years, 10 years?
Well, I was told before I could even start that, I had to come here first.
Right.
So, I did work with, Michelle Oros, and I have another lady that I'm working with, and we're trying to find grants and things like that. We have someone in our community that, would probably give a big donation towards
That's why I
this
was
track.
wondering, do you have some,
Yeah.
you have some way, a jumping off point where you're just not going to start tomorrow raising
Right.
money if we, I mean,
And-
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. And, I mean, I know it's probably going to take a few years. We even thought about having little pavers at the beginning of the track where people from Bath, because it's named after Lee Swain as well, if that happens, we know people who live in that community love their community, and they might buy a paver, put someone's name on it like they did at the library.
Right.
So, I do understand, it's probably going to take 2 or 3 years to raise all that money.
This is also the type of project that KB Reynolds likes.
Right, that's what I was wondering, if there was a hope that you were going to go after some large grants, because I thought
Yeah.
it would take a very long time if you had to raise it a little bit
Well,
at a
and see,
time.
the Beaufort Trail at the college was what sparked me to kind of do this. But I haven't really pursued it further because I wanted to get approval first.
And I don't have a problem with it being named after Lee, but what is the board policy specifically, Dr. Phipps?
We do not name buildings or parts of property after people. So
Okay.
it'll have to be set aside in some.
And to amend that, does that have to be an amendment for just this only? Because I do worry that, because we've turned some people down.
That's right.
And when you turn people down and then you amend it for one reason, what will give us a reason to turn the next person down? And that's my only concern, and if we could, I know it's a double-edged sword. If you remove that from this action item, so we approve the fundraising, then it may make fundraising harder for you, because if you go at it, this is a memorial for Lee Swain, it may help you raising money. But at the same time, I think we're opening ourselves up for something that we may have a different board in place when the money's actually in place. That may decide not to uphold what we say, but what the policy is.
One
Does that
thing
make
you might
sense?
consider doing is to put a plaque there to say that the track was built in honor of. I mean, really, a track,
That's what
you
we
really
did
can't.
before, I think.
But the name on a building is different than.
That's what
We've done it
there's a way
twice.
around it,
Yeah.
so that you can still do
We've
it.
done it
Yeah,
at tennis
Right.
courts and things like that.
Right.
Okay.
Do you think that would be amenable to them, and that way it's not, you're still getting her name there?
Right.
And you're giving her a memorial, but it's not technically named after her.
Right. Because that would be the only way you could do it anyway, because it's a track.
That's right.
Sure.
So it's not like it's a building you put her name on.
Living memory of,
Right.
something of that nature. You
Right.
see those at the start of paths all the
Right.
time.
Is there any more discussion or questions?
Not for me.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, is this to do the recognition? Is it all together?
All together, do, for the
give-
plat and everything.
Okay.
So to do a plaque, and then you're okay. Okay.
Right.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
All right, got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, got a second? All right, any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes.
And this is a discussion that should have happened, but you're going to continue to work with them, right, Stan? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Maley?
Good evening. Ms. Duke was nice enough to get some information on your board docs at a very late time this afternoon. We have been working on a wide area network RFP for the last few months, and we've been trying to work the legalities out with the contract between ourselves and the service provider. And we are at a point now where we feel like we are pretty confident that the contract will be to our liking. So at the request of the board attorney, not Ms. Edwards, but Mr. Rod Malone, who is working at her direction on this particular item, has asked me to present the contract for approval, knowing that this is not the absolute final contract that might come tomorrow or the day after, but approving it and allowing the board attorney and the superintendent to make some small final modifications to that contract. The reason why I'm doing that is because we are already getting into the year, and I really had wanted to have this wrapped up before the end of last year, because this is going to be a large, complex scale rollout for the entire district. So even right now, at this time, 2 weeks waiting, not to put any pressure though, might throw a little kink in the whole plan. So I apologize for that. It's just been a lot of legal issues that have been trying to work through, because in this particular case, we have been the ones who have been writing the contract, and then we have to coordinate that with the vendor to make sure that they agree with it, and so on and so forth. So in your board docs, you should have a document entitled Beaufort Sunlink Contract for Wide Area Network. This is the actual contract that we are finalizing with the vendor, who in this case is Suddenlink, or known doing business as Seabridge Communications. And what basically the contract is, I'm asking for a 10-year contract to provide wide area network services to Beaufort County schools to our sites. If you would look at the Exhibit A, which is titled RFP Exhibit A, this is the actual RFP that was returned from Suddenlink. And if you go all the way to the end, you will see the pricing in the contract for Suddenlink, providing at a monthly rate of $753.84 per site. I have a summary sheet of all this, so if you just bear with me, I will get to that in a few moments. So this is the actual contract, Exhibit A. And then the next one is the SLA. If you notice, this also says not final. Is it not there?
It's there.
Okay. Is the Suddenlink Exhibit B. The only thing we're trying to work through at the very end is on the chronic interruptions, to make sure that we have an opportunity, if there's an extended outage, that we can change or cancel our contract, and the final verbiage is being worked up at this time. And then we have Appendix C, or Attachment C. What Attachment C allows us for is scalability, because as we all know, 10 years is a long time. So we have agreed that the contract can be raised by, that each site can have an incremental increase of 1 gigabits per second over the term of the contract up to 10 gigabits per second at $76.50 per gigabit, which is quite an incredible rate. And then the last document I have is a signed evaluation grid. And this is where me and my team went through the weighting factors on the two vendors who provided responses to the RFP. They are Katera and Sunlink. Katera is our current provider and done a really good job for us, but currently our network only has about 5 schools on fiber. The rest of our schools are on microwave. The issue with microwave is that it's not very scalable above speeds of 600 meg or 1.2 gig. Another potential issue, of course this can happen with any vendor, is one of my concerns is that one day we're going to have a lightning strike, which we've had before on the tower, and the weather's going to be bad and they can't get it repaired in time, and then we have an outage for a day or so. As I said, fiber is scalable. The one that the Sunlink plan, all they have to do is just actually make just a little software change into a switch. You go from 1 to 2 to 3, so it's incremental, so it allows that flexibility. Right now we have Southside High School at 175 megabits and Washington High School at 235 megabits. Both these schools, Washington High School since it's large and Southside since it has such a high degree of Chromebook deployment, are pushing right now that bandwidth limit. So I have got to get those schools at a minimum upgraded. Both those schools right now are on microwave. They are not on fiber. If you look on the back, or down, it's on the back on mine, there's an actual summary of the cost proposals that were submitted to us. So I asked for 3 term lengths. I asked for 36 months, I asked for 72 months, and I asked for 120 months. The reason I asked for 120 months is I have to be able to allow a vendor to turn their capital expenses into operational expenses, because our district does not have a lot of fiber laid in it, by one company in particular. So I had to make sure that there were some terms that they feel that they could recoup their investment in the district. If you look at the 36-month term, the 1 gigabit per second, from Sunlink is $15,500 per month with a non-reoccurring fee of $250 for a total of $808,000. If you look at the 72-month 1 gigabit Sunlink, the cost is $1,116,000 over 6 years. If you look at the 1 gigabit Sunlink 10-year, the cost is $1,176,000. Now, what's noticeable to me is that there's only a $60,000 difference in 4 terms. So, for us, in order for us to be able to, let's say that we decided to go with a 3-year contract, so to limit our exposure for the duration of the contract. That means at the end of the 3 years, the price difference between the 3 and the 10, we would have to get a gigabit circuit for $337 a month, which is not going to happen. And then if you look at the 6-year versus the 10-year term, which is only $60,000 difference over 4 years, you would have to get a circuit for $96 a month after the initial 6 years. So it is my recommendation, even though I realize 10 years is a long time, and I know people talk about technological obsolescence, fiber itself is not obsolete. It's the electronics at the end that might become obsolete. But 10 gig, we started with 100 meg in 2005, and right now we still have schools, barely, but they're working at 175. This will give all our schools 1 gig with scalable up to 10 gigs over 10 years. That's why I'm recommending the 10-year contract, because of the ability of fiber to scale. And this $749 price is very good compared to the area. Some school districts are paying $1,200, $1,300 for 200 meg. So, been working on this for quite a while. Anyway, I know that was a lot of information in a short amount of time.
I think Dr. Phipps has a question.
Yes, one I want to make, and then I do have a question. In terms of talking about the relative size and the speed, when we're talking about 100 meg, it takes 1,000 meg to get to a gig.
Takes, yes,
Yeah,
1,000 megabits to get to a gig.
To give you an idea of where
Yes.
1 gig is compared to where we are. Where does E-rate fall in? And E-rate, I know we never want to budget on because it's not a guaranteed deal, but when you look at a dollar figure like that, it's shocking just to see $1 million on the page. How much of that potentially is there a opportunity to have the rebate with E-rate on it?
So unfortunately, we're a district, which means this is at least that goes up anywhere from 80 to 90% we can get reimbursed on with E-rate. I've always been of the mindset, though, that you don't know if you're going to get E-rate, so you want to be able to pay your bills. But we can get 90 to 80% of our E-rate reimbursement. And then currently, the state is reimbursing us for the non-discounted portion. So the state then puts in my PRC 73 whatever money we don't get from E-rate. But like I said, I've always felt like we needed, because we have to have this service. It's almost like water or electricity now. I don't see any way that there's not going to be this requirement tomorrow and 10 years from now. So to me, it's like a utility at this point. So my goal was to get it down as much as possible, cost low, and scalability. That was my goal. But yes, sir, Dr. Phipps, E-rate, we have been getting E-rate all these years. We've gotten millions and millions of dollars. But to put it in perspective, we're paying $1,111 per month right now for circuits that are not as fast and are not scalable. So, and you had another question, sir?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And if I get this correct, then going this route, it will be faster, especially for those high schools that are pulling on it, or no?
So, okay.
Because I hear that a lot, especially at test time when you have so many state tests that are now done on the computer. I hear teachers and students complain about it being slower than normal. And I'm not being a techno geek. Is that because so many people are on it simultaneously, or?
There are a lot of links in that chain. So sometimes it could be the testing site. There have been sometimes we've had issues with our wireless network. Normally, believe it or not, during testing, the demands on the wide area network are the least because there's no streaming videos, there's none of the high volume content that the teachers are using. So actually, usually on the WAN side during the testing period, it's not. That can be sometimes the devices we have sometimes are old.
Yeah.
It depends. There's a lot of, and sometimes it can be the state. In fact, last week they were having issues because Google was having issues, so the app itself was not working. So it's...
Because I hear a lot, especially at the high school level, where and I think what you said about the device. Some of those devices are very old, but they're so slow.
Right.
And these kids are trying to get through a 90-minute test in 90 minutes, and when 20 of those minutes their computer is barely percolating, it's very frustrating.
Yes, ma'am. So, but like I said, at Washington High School South Side, they are, when you initially log into your test, that's when you get a spike, because that's when the initial activity is, and then depending on how fast some people are, it usually lowers down. So this certainly would not make that worse. We are always trying, of course, to make sure that we get through testing. It's always a challenge for us to make, but it would not hurt.
Okay.
And it would also provide us the ability to make sure that that was not going to be a bottleneck, I guess. That's at least one thing that we could know that that's not going to be a bottleneck for us in the future.
My other question is a business question. I know Suddenlink is technically not Suddenlink anymore. They've been bought out by another company.
Is it Altice?
Something like that, but they're still going by Suddenlink for now. I didn't read down into the fine print, but it could change hands 10 times in 10 years. That's just how these media companies are. Are we protected on this price no matter who the new owner may be?
I will double check with that, but I know there is language within there that does protect us about that, and that we have to
I just want to make sure, because
Right.
I'm understanding that some of the some of the deals that you have with Suddenlink as a residential subscriber, that after a certain length of time, the new company will no longer honor those deals. They'll offer you other ones, but that those deals will go by the wayside.
Right, those types of residential deals, this is an entirely different.
Right, but I just
branch
want to
of
make
it.
sure we're protected on this price.
Okay. I will certainly get that double check for you. And if that is the case, is that fine with you then? Or?
Yeah, oh yeah, I just wanted to, because I didn't read way down into it, and if
Yes,
the
ma'am.
language is there, I trust
And
it.
Carolyn, I think in this case, it behooves the company to stay with us because they've got to invest so much capital in laying down
Exactly.
fiber.
I would think so.
Yeah, it'll be to their advantage to continue on with us through the term of the contract. But I think we need to make sure that we got that in writing.
Yes, sir.
Is there guarantees on, what kind of guarantees do we have on the speed from the vendor?
So the SLA is listing it, it's 99.99%.
How are they testing that?
Well, they're going to be monitoring it with their own equipment. And, of course, we have equipment that we monitor too, but in the RFP, it stated that they would have latency of, I think it's less than 25 milliseconds, and jitter of less than 25 milliseconds, and so on and so forth like this, because we need to make sure that it performs for like things like voice over IP and stuff like that. So that is in the in this part of the contract that was returned.
Because, I mean, to your point, I mean, we may have 100 Chromebooks today. Tomorrow, we may have 1,000.
Yes, sir.
Every student may have a Chromebook coming in 2018. We don't know yet.
Yes, sir.
That would be an ultimate goal, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, this system,
Yes, sir.
we want to spec this system out to go beyond that limit.
Right. And so what we did, like I said in here, latency not to exceed 25 milliseconds. To put it in perspective, 500 milliseconds is half a second. But fiber, if it's constructed properly and routed properly, should only be 1 or 2 or 3. And then jitter not to exceed 20 milliseconds, and that was placed in there, and that was to comply. And like I said, 99.99% uptime, which is probably not going to be achieved, but as long as
Is it close?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
sir. We also put in there about they couldn't throttle the circuit. They had to have it dedicated. It had to be scalable up to 10 gig. Layer 2 traffic, quality of service, all those types of things that we went through. We had Suddenlink connecting P.S. Jones and John Small in 2011 for a few years, in the time when the schools were built, and we had to make a change because we moved the school. And Suddenlink actually got that contract, and they provided very good service for us. We also had an optical internet service with Suddenlink a few years ago when the state wasn't providing us, and that provided good service. Well, of course, I can't guarantee anything, but I would not be putting us at risk if I thought this was...
Well, no, I mean, to Ms. Carolyn's point, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, these companies, these internet providers, you know, to residentials, to businesses, I mean, they love getting business contracts.
Yes, sir.
They make promises to residents, right? And I mean, I'm sorry, I've proven that my internet provider is not providing me what I'm paying for.
Right.
But yet, you know, I've got fiber to premise.
Right.
Right? So it's not my stuff inside my house, it's probably a hub or a lack of a booster or something that they have not put on their back end when they install the fiber. That's neither here nor there. Now it's a business contract, all your rates go up. You're not a resident anymore. And I'm just looking at expandability. I mean, today we've been fighting textbook issues for years. Well, e-readers and Chromebooks are becoming very, very reasonable.
Yes, sir.
Right? And I mean, I don't want us to go down this road or propose this road to where we couldn't put, you know, we don't have our own backbone to put something electronic in every child's hand that walks through the door.
Well,
and operate.
Right. So, like I said, this is a fiber backbone.
Right.
It should provide all the speed that we need for the future. It is scalable. And this is not our actual internet connection. Our internet connection is provided by the state, and that's through MCNC. And Right now, I think we have a 1 gig internet connection, so you can think about the aggregate of that. If you put a 1 gig here at every site, you'd have to have 14 gig to be saturating that particular link.
Right.
So,
Do you, as our expert in IT, feel comfortable with this?
yes, sir.
I make a motion that we approve what you're requesting.
You're supplementing tenure, that's what you want, right?
Yes, sir.
Been waiting.
I second it.
I'm waiting for that. Okay.
But thank you for answering our question.
Oh, no, absolutely. And if anybody would like to come and talk to me about any of this, I'd be more than glad to. It wasn't just me. We had a discussion with the team, and we, if it was anything but fiber, I probably would say no, but it's fiber.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your...
No, sir. And that's what we need to get to. We need to get the fiber.
Mark, we got you a motion and got a second.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything?
No.
Seeing none, all in favor of his request?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Thank you for all the time.
Thank you.
And for your due diligence, we appreciate it.
All right, Mr. Mark Doon, emergency pay.
Well, I'd like to take you back to the beginning of the Fair Labor Standards Act, and, no, I'm just kidding.
Got another job, right?
We just have a loophole that I would request the board to assist us with. There are very rare occasions when classified employees, especially in the maintenance department, custodial or transportation, have to be called in to work on a holiday, a paid holiday. Something goes wrong, there's an emergency situation, somebody's got to come in. Those folks are salaried, that's just the nature of the beast. But if you're classified, then because you're already being paid for the day, you are essentially coming in for free. And so there's no way to get around the law in the sense that I can't pay you overtime or can't have you clock in. A holiday is a holiday, or a weekend is a weekend. But what we could do is establish essentially a local emergency fund so that if we called you in on one of these days, then we would just give you a blanket $250 stipend, which based on the salaries of the folks that have been called in, and it's only happened, for example, this year twice thus far, to my knowledge. I'm not talking about shelter pay, that's a whole separate issue for hurricanes. This is just day-to-day, something in the maintenance goes wrong, it's the Martin Luther King holiday, we need somebody to come in and help us, and this person, since they're already on the clock, technically doesn't get anything extra. We would like to provide something going forward when that happens. I don't anticipate it being a large sum, but obviously it's local funds and need your permission to spend those if you award it.
And you would do the best you can, right?
Yes, sir.
As long as it doesn't include you, because we're not giving you any money.
No, I don't think we still get on it, right? We're going to be in worse shape if the maintenance department calls me to come in and help, so.
I was thinking that.
Okay, we've heard Mr. Doon's request, what's the feeling?
Make a motion.
All right, got a motion? Second. Got a second? All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Phillips.
Updated calendar, just want to ask for your approval. These are minor changes. I really want to tip my hat to the calendar committee. When we put these calendars together, we often don't have to talk about what we've built in terms of time in the calendar, and we've really benefited in this early winter time that we've had time that we could pull. You all know that we took a couple of teacher work days, one in February, one in March. We also were able to cobble together hours that were early release that we made full days. There are two changes I want to make. What I'm asking for the days that we were out last week, the only thing I feel like we need to do in terms of our calendar is we have a Good Friday early release day on April the 30th. I'd like to make that a full day, and we'll take those hours. We won't need any other makeup time, and I'll still have about 14 hours in the schedule if something comes
Is that
up.
March 30th or April 30th?
March
Good Friday.
March 30th.
Yeah.
I just wrote the wrong
No,
thing.
you're okay.
Thank you for saying
I just
that.
wanted to make sure.
It's Good
that we're
Friday,
on the
and
right-
it is in March.
Because I have that holiday as
Yes.
well, and it's on
You just
March
wanna make it
30th.
Want to make it, it's an early release day, we just want to make it a full day. And that'll let us grab those hours, and that'll get put back in. Well, heck, related to that is the early college calendar. And the difference that we work on is the early college calendar is a 185-day calendar, and everybody else is operating on the 1,025 instructional hours. They have something called satellite days built into their, and all the innovative high schools do, because all those students have computers and they have access at home, and the teachers are working on Canvas. They're able to conduct business even on days when we're not physically in school. So what Ms. Paik has asked, and this is kind of a formality for you, the 26th of January would now be a satellite day instead of the 23rd, and they'll be able to keep their optional teacher work days on February the 19th and March the 9th. just because but they're going to make the 30th a full day, and they need to do that because they share our buses, and they can't get out early if they're dependent on our buses. So
You need multiple approvals for that?
if we could approve both calendar changes, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Yeah, I'll just add both to the
Thank you.
motion.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second to the superintendent's request. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes.
Thank you, and hope we won't have any more weather.
Me too.
They say the first of February.
Said that already.
Yeah. Okay, moving on down. Discussion, no action. Mr. Hudson, capital budget update. Anything really changed?
My 17-18 capital update dated 1/23/18. Plant operations HVAC has been completed as of today. And we also completed the central office new unit in Mr. Doones, and the room beside of his office has been installed last Friday. I did have one more addition, which would be line 6, which is south side. I did receive the drawings today from RPA, and I reached out to 2 contractors, and they're going to meet me on site tomorrow to look at a masonry that's proposed to correct that issues. What the engineer did, and I have a drawing, but drop down 2 rows of brick on the existing wall, put in fasteners to support that wall, and then put in fasteners to hold the new row lock down. And then install the wall, and we're going to actually move the wall in 3/4 of an inch to put most of the bearing weight of that wall on the original floor of the school. So, any questions about that?
Anybody have any questions?
All right, then I have one for update on Eastern Elementary's playground. I did meet with a gentleman, and we took 6 soil samples out in the area up to grades of 18 inches, and it was very prominent everywhere we went, and we found nothing but glass. We didn't find another piece of anything. So their recommendation would be either to cover it with fabric and cover it with bark, or cover it with fabric and cover it with grass. But I will be presenting that back to y'all for this coming year's capital, and something we could do in the summer. There's no way we could do anything out there over the school year other than keep maintaining it and walking the site to pick up anything that we find.
Okay. I haven't been out there since I think we were there for a presentation. What are we doing to keep the kids off? Is it roped off, or do teachers just know not to take kids in that
It's the
area?
whole campus, Miss Carolyn. It's everywhere, even out front of the school.
Out on the playground, in the middle of the playground too?
It's in the middle of the playground. Everywhere that we went out to the oak tree. I was standing at the oak tree when we were moving snow, and it's scattered all over the campus. In between pod 5, 28 inches in the ground, I cut a finger with glass that was in there. So I don't know what was there.
And I don't want us to wait until the summer. I think when we're talking about safety issues and the concerns we've got, we need to get a price and an idea of what it costs, and then we've got to go ahead and make a motion or move on something sooner rather than later when we're talking about a situation like this.
I hate to see us wait until a budget is approved in the summer. I know summer would be ideal, but a lot can happen between now and then, and I'm not willing to...
My playground guys walking it every week and picking up what we can find. We're trying to get the leaves and stuff up that has fallen in between the snow so we can better canvas it, but there's a lot of debris out there that's covering it up at this point. But
Well, can you just go and give us a price and bring it back to us?
Yeah.
I'm already working on getting some numbers together for budget purposes, so I'll have some valid numbers.
And another update piece, Willie Mack and I met with the county manager last week. They are going to start releasing capital funds for us moving forward at the end of this month in equal installments. So I've asked Stan to go ahead and get the RFPs for the other projects that we had on hold, and we'll do those as we can. And obviously, it'll take us beyond our budget proposal to have all that finished, but we'll be working on it.
Any other questions for Stan? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Dr. Phipps. Revision policy.
This is a policy for first reading, not asking any action. This was on the request of a couple of authorities that look at policies, and if you have the attachment, if you scan down, the only strikeouts that we're recommending are on page 6, and it removes specific names of individuals. And the reason for that is if we have a name of an individual in a policy and that individual changes positions for any reason, we've got to come back to you for a revision of the policy. So what we have are the names of the positions
which shouldn't change. And then any handouts, when we have our 504 book for the year, it would have the individual named in that and other relative information from year to year. But for our policy, we just wanted to state the position and not an individual name. So that's the only change there. We'll be bringing that back to you. That's it.
Okay. All right, 6.3, NERSBA, Dr. Phipps.
This was something I wanted to mention last night, just a conversation. I want to say that this may be the beginning of a much larger conversation. This year's budget, as we get into it, I think it's probably going to be a 2 or 3 year conversation budget, just because of looming issues that we have with class size reduction. And we've got to take a close look at where we're at with our fund balance and the allocations and those kinds of things. But one of the questions that has come up are the number of students that we have at the Northeast Regional School that's in Janesville now. And what I have, and I want to explain the table that I've provided. Actually, there are 2 of them. Everybody got a copy? At the top, if you take a look, it says NERSBA grade. That's just 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And they're set up very much like our early college, so there's a 13th grade there that are super seniors. Then the number of students that are in NERSBA, and then the column that says number BCS, that's the number of Beaufort County students that make up that grade level. So the simple math tells you in the 9th grade, there's 60 9th graders, 21 of those are from Beaufort County, which means we make up 35% of the freshman class. We make up 37.5% of the 10th grade class, and you can see that these numbers are as of January the 18th. And it's just like any other school, when you look at it, depending on the date you're at, so I want you to know that's the numbers that we pulled. Down below that, what I wanted to show you is that if you take a total look at the population, Beaufort County makes up roughly 30% of the NERSBA population. When we went into this with Walter Dalton, when this was first done, my understanding was that there was a relative proportionality that each school district would have based on size.
That's right.
And when I try to get a picture of what our proportionality would be, the numbers are in the second table. And I want you to look at it in 2 ways because I didn't know what comments we might get. And I didn't put these in alphabetical order, and I apologize. The 5 counties that are involved in NERSBA, you see are Beaufort, Martin, Terrell, and Pitt, and Washington. The number of students that are listed there are as of yesterday, and this is on the best 1 of 2 allotment for 2017-18 school year, not adjusted for anything. This comes directly from DPI. So these numbers may change, but at least they're consistent on the day that I pulled them. For Beaufort County, you see we're at 6832. You can go down the list. The total number of students that we have, and I don't know if super seniors and early colleges are included because it didn't go beyond 12th grade, so I'm not sure about that. But if we just use the numbers that we've got right here, there are 35,804 students, kindergarten through 12th grade, in the 5 counties. You can see where we rank in terms of our percentage of that population. So Beaufort County makes up 19.08% of the overall population, and that's important to me. So then I wanted to pull the number of 9th through 12th graders that are in those 5 counties, and it doesn't change very much. We go to 20.3%. So if we're talking about proportionality, in my opinion, and I don't want to speak for the board, but when we conceived this idea, my thought was that Beaufort County would never have more represented population at the school anymore. This would be kind of a cap of where we are at 20%. You can see we're at 30.36. The total population right now is 22.4. 20% of that is 44.8. The question, the dilemma that we're dealing with, and you're going to hear a lot more of it in the next 45 days as we talk about budget, is the amount of money that we send out of county. We send money out of county for charter schools, and those are things that we don't have any control over. This is a hybrid, different situation that we've gone into. If you take a look at the super senior class, there are 4 students there. If we continue on at the rate we're going, we would have 4 students would come off this list, and if it stayed the way that it is, 21 more students would be added. If that stayed in place, in 5 years, you're going to have over 100 kids of hours that are going to be at NERSBA, and there's no guarantee that would happen. The concern I've got is our local money, right now projected in the financial statements at NERSBA, 112,000 local dollars are going to NERSBA, and $395,000 last year went out of the state money. That's over $500,000.
Have you had a conversation with Pitt superintendent about this?
We've talked. Everybody that's involved have had some conversations. We're all in a little bit different places of what's offered. You know, we have an early college that we have in place, and Pitt has, I think they've got one maybe open and a second one now, and some don't have an early college. Some are using, some have other models and things that they're following. The way I look at it, I think there are three options. We can continue doing what we're doing. We can put a cap on the number of students that we've got there, or you could decide you no longer want to be a part of the school. And I think all of those involve some conversation and discussion. I'd like to have the opportunity in a retreat that I'm going to be asking you about in a little bit to bring back any additional information that you might want in terms of numbers or dollars or anything like that. What I'm telling you right now is, as we speak, we're looking at over $500,000 of money that is going to NERSPA, but that's because of the number of students that we have there.
Which represents 10 teachers.
It would represent 10 teachers. That's correct. I raised concerns, and Mr. Hodges, he and I both serve on the board at NERSPA, and he raised some concerns. They passed out the number. These numbers are actually a little bit lower for Beaufort County than the numbers we saw a few months ago. At one point, there were 52 students in the freshman class, and 26 were from Beaufort. So we made up a clear 50%. That number's not there anymore. I just want you to see this in relation to all the other conversations that we're going to have in terms of what we're dealing with. You're going to find out that we're chasing about $500,000 in terms of where we're at to try to break even, and this is one piece that I think needs to be considered. I don't know what the solution is. We haven't had a chance to talk about it as a group, but I think we need to have some conversation. And Mac is, I don't know what you may want to say, but Mac serving in two roles certainly is looking at it from two different perspectives. I've got to look out for Beaufort County Schools first. That's who I serve. That's where my allegiance is, and I'm going to do that. If there's a way to make both work, we can, but if not, my allegiance is to Beaufort County.
I agree. Well, when it was brought to my attention, that same time with Dr. Phipps, I said, at this time, our Board of Education is still in full support of this school, and I think the school does good things. But going back, we got to look out for us first. That's right. And so, this being a non-action item, I would like to ask that we get with the leaders over at NERSPA, and maybe we have a sit-down talk with them and tell them where we're coming, because we haven't never sat down and met with them face-to-face. And we got to get an understanding, and I believe that Dr. Phipps is correct. It was supposed to be on some type of scale of students that would be for us to be letting attend over there and so forth. But I don't want to deprive anybody, but we still got to look out for our bottom line first, our home folks first. So.
Can I clear up some of these numbers? I mean, just so I understand it.
Sure. Yes, sir.
You mentioned, Don, 6,832 for Beaufort. That was the number they gave you currently. But when is that what you were saying?
What's that number?
Yeah. 6,832
yes.
is what DPI said.
That's the allotment non-adjusted. That's straight off the DPI
right. Does that
website.
include pre-K or something?
No.
When you gave us the presentation in November, I got it here.
The allotments from the state they've been running a little high.
Okay.
And they'll adjust it, and that's why we had a reversion.
So really, I don't think that we have 6,800.
No, and we don't know. This is the only way I could do something that was the same for everybody.
But I mean, I'm just trying to clear it too, because you presented to us that our number in 10 days was 6,594.
Right.
I mean, that's a huge difference right there. I hear what our chairman is saying and actually agree with, and some discussions got to be made, but the urgency, there are some things that we need to decide. Well, I know we can't decide now because it's not an action item, but we need to get together and decide real soon. If you look yesterday's in the paper, there was a half-a-page article. They're in the process of accepting applications right in front of us. Last year, we allowed them to come into our schools and actually made presentations. They physically went into our 8th graders. So we can't wait, or they're going to be in our schools recruiting students. And personally, for me, I think we need to stop that completely right now. I mean, when I say right now, I don't mean I'm going to make a motion and stuff.
No, right, I understand.
But we need to stop that right now. There's no way, even if you cap it, because I know you and I have had some discussions on capping the number of people, but since you have a limited number that are exiting the school, that's not going to help you basically any at all. I mean, if you put nobody into their freshman class coming up, you're not going to help yourself a whole lot at all. I mean, there's some things I just would love to say, but I don't think I'm going to say them right now. But I think here's a decision that's going to have to be made. I will say this, and it's going to probably shock some people when I say this, but I've worked on the budget here for a number of years, and I understand it. And I understand where we're headed with our allotment. Give yourself about 2 more years of this kind of thing supporting this school in Janesville. And I have nothing against the school, because I want to question why we can't do that in our own early college, even if we have to add something to it and bring all these students back. But you're only about 2 years away. I see.
That's right.
I don't know if you want me to say it or not.
No, you're absolutely
You're
right.
about 2 years away. You're going to decide either you're going to pull schools like EdTech and close it up and do something with it. You're going to pull completely out of this school in Janesville, or you're going to look at our smaller schools, and our smaller schools being S.W. Snowden, you're not going to have the money, budget-wise, to run these schools. And that is a harsh thing to say, but if you understand our money situation and how our money comes to us, I wouldn't be surprised if you don't make a decision on 2 of those 3. One of those 3 you're going to make a decision on, because if not, you're not going to have the funds to put the teachers in the schools that we have. And I was elected to look after Beaufort County, not Martin County.
I think what you're saying with the urgency of it, we need to meet
You
sooner
got
or
to
later
meet
about
soon,
it.
because they're recruiting in our schools very soon.
Right.
I mean, it was in the paper yesterday. I didn't make it up. I read it in the paper.
Right.
Well, and
So we got to stop it
kind
now.
of a budget tidbit that goes along with that. That's part of what I want to talk about as we get into that in subsequent meetings. We received a reduction this year because our average daily membership, our student enrollment was down. So that means that we lost, Mark, you remember how many positions?
We lost 4 positions.
4 positions, and that's because those positions and the money tied to them are tied to the number of students that we have. We have to make cuts at least that number of positions, or we're going to continue to put that burden on local, and we cannot afford to do it. And in our county, we've not made cuts like that to reflect our ADM, and you have to make difficult adjustments if you don't keep up with it along the way. So part of what we're going to talk about is going to be that piece of where are we at with fund balance, where are we at with our operations. You can't continue to live off fund balance. Eventually, you're going to run out, and then you're going to have tough decisions, and you got to make them all at once. So I want us to be smart. I want you to know what all the barriers are, but this is one barrier that we've got some control over that I think we need to look at.
I think all I'm saying, and I'll stop, is everybody hearing what I'm saying? How can we sit here as a Board of Education in Beaufort County, make cuts that affect our schools in Beaufort County and send our students and our money to Martin County? How can we sit here and do that? I'm not in support of doing that at all. I personally think we need to pull completely out of that school, bring these kids back to Beaufort County, figure out how we can educate them here, because we're losing students, and I've looked at it from every different angle. We're doing it to ourselves. I mean, there's always kids going to leave that we can't control, but we certainly don't need to put an approval on sending students and money to another county, that a school that is basically supported by Martin Community College, when we have a community college here that's struggling to stay up now. But we can talk about it later, but that's the city. You need to be thinking about this, folks. This is serious, and it is right in front of us.
I think Dr. Phillips is looking at a date that maybe we can get the other leaders to come in and we can sit down and talk to them.
And I will say one more thing.
Come
I
to
want to build on what he said, if I don't mind, and that's for our chairman. I did go back, I read the minutes from NERSPA to make sure I had the numbers and everything right, and it was clearly brought out right in the minutes that our current chairman, Mr. Hodges, called them on it. And I appreciate that, man. I do. He stood up for us in that meeting and called them on us and said, hey, you're not being fair to us.
All right.
No.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
And I have a question that isn't about NERSPA, but it's tied to the discussion we'll have. Do we know yet, Mark, where we're going to be with all this, the maneuvering in the K?
No, because the whole piece of enhancement.
Because that could have a huge impact on us, right?
And that's one reason we'll probably move toward capital first to give us a chance to get some information from the state and get an idea. But we don't know what state level support there are for enhancement teachers, or whether those are going to fall on us. And if the state doesn't pick that up, it's going to be a local responsibility.
That's why I said it could be directly tied to NERSPA, because if it has that kind of financial impact on us, it may not even be a choice. It may be something we're forced to take care of our own first.
Now, with that in mind, I don't remember the date. It's in early February. The lobbyists for the for the county commissioners for local are going to be meeting with me and Mark along with the county manager. I think the county commissioners are concerned that this may be passed down to them, so we're going to hopefully have them on our side across the state just to
Okay.
ask for some relief from the general assembly.
I didn't know, because I knew that could have the potential to have a huge
And
financial
that's one reason we
impact.
don't want to roll out a lot of budget stuff in early January. There's so many things that are going to change the picture of what we're dealing with. So, we get started in that, and that's really what we're going to kick off when we have this next retreat.
All right. Good discussion. Thank you. Moving down on the agenda to item 7, closed session. Do I have a motion?
I move that we go into closed session pursuant to the General Statute 143-318-11, to prevent disclosure of confidential and personnel files under General Statute 115C-321, and formulate plans relating to emergency response to school violence.
Okay.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're in closed session. Randy, we good? All right, we're back in open session. And first item is to approve the personnel agenda that was presented. All right, got a motion, got a second. Any further discussion? See none? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion passes.
I did a second.
Okay, you did a second. All right. Updates. Moving down calendar.
Yeah, you see the calendar in front of you. You have the Minority Hiring Practices Committee on the 30th, our board meetings for February work session on the 6th, and our monthly meeting on the 20th. We're running into budget season, and you may recall there are times we have 4 meetings a month. I want to have another retreat that won't involve any presentations. It will be strictly, really budget-related things or other items that we've got going on, and I'd like to look at either the 1st, the 8th, or the 13th.
The sooner the better.
As quick as we can, so we can talk about these other issues we're discussing.
February 1st would probably be better.
It's a Thursday?
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, Thursdays are hard for me during the day.
February what?
Well, if you wanted to do it the 30th after the Minority Hiring Practice Committee, that's next week. That's next Tuesday.
Well, the 1st is next week, too.
That's right. We're just trying to get it early, but the 1st would be on Thursday.
I mean, we're not going to do it during the day, are we?
No, I was thinking 5:30 if we could.
I'm good then either date.
Okay.
First is good, Wayne.
First.
Can we do the 1st?
Okay.
So that'll be adding February the 1st at 5:30.
That's a
Okay.
retreat?
And that's just going to be a retreat.
Is this a retreat, or are you going back to?
Yeah, let's go back to Ed Tech and do it there.
How come?
It's just easier to set, we can meet here if you want to.
I just wondered.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like it's more open
That's fine.
ability
As long
just to
as we
have.
don't need our laptops.
Yeah.
Yes, fine.
Okay.
What time?
So that is
5:30.
And then at that time, can we look at some other dates if we have to?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. Any board member updates at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to let the board know that Stan spoke with me earlier this afternoon, and he told me that the park, let you know that the park, there was some putting down pipes or something with the bathroom, and that's why it's been sitting there. They've been waiting for, it was on the city's, is that not right, Dr. Phillips? It was the city's.
They had to move it because
Yeah.
of something having to do with the pump station.
Yeah, right. And they had to go back and redo that. He just told me today that they've taken care of that already, and what they're going to do now is to get ready to put the bids out for the walking trail, what have you, on the park.
Okay.
So I just want to keep you informed as to what's going on there.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Superintendent update?
Have covered a lot. We talked about the meeting with the county manager. We have several schools, and Terry Draper had brought this up at one time about having more conversation of parents being able to get feedback on wit and wisdom, and we were going to call something a wit and wisdom night, which is not fair because there's some teachers and others that are not doing that program. So they're doing a special language arts curriculum night, and they're scheduled from now, we've got a calendar that we're going to have posted on the website through mid-February that would give parents, anybody in the community, the chance to go in and talk with teachers about the things that they're doing and ask questions. It'd be kind of a language arts showcase depending on what those teachers are doing. I just wanted you to be aware of that going on. We've got our retreat scheduled, and then the calendar update. Again, I wanted to thank the folks who helped work the calendar. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're dealing with changes, the more you have built into that calendar, the easier it is on everybody.
Big deal. Trying to figure it out. Never believe it. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right.
Excuse me, I wanted to say, and I talked to Don about this today, last night, Eastern Elementary could not attend our retreat because they were having math night. You want to tell, into Title I?
How many times?
473 people that were there, which is just incredible, even if you include, whoever you include, 473 folks to show up. It's just tremendous support for that school, and I'm so proud of them and the community support.
They had a great time. I think they ate over 70 pizzas.
Did they finish that building?
I don't know where they had it at. I'm not sure what the details were.
Yeah, I think it was all in the multipurpose room.
Good, there we had it.
Okay. Ms. P?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I second.
Thank you. All right. All in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
He probably posted something.